Today we have a 385 random facts compilation that will blow your mind.
Despite its shell-like appearance, the Argonaut is not a nautilus, but a unique type of octopus. The delicate, papery structure it creates is not a true shell, but rather an egg case secreted by the female for protection and buoyancy. Chip cards have been around for a while. While the idea goes back to the 80s, the EMV technology we use today really took off in the late 90s. The EMV standard is named after its developers, Europay, MasterCard, and Visa. Growing an avocado from its pit, you'll get an avocado tree, sure, but the fruit might be a surprise. Each seed is genetically unique. If you want the exact same avocado as the one you ate, you'll need to graft a branch from that tree. Arthur Fischer, a German inventor, changed the way we hang things on walls forever. His 1958 invention, the plastic wall plug, or Fischer dowel, made it easy to securely fasten objects. Mr. Stalin was named Times Person of the Year twice, or in better way, Man of the Year as it was called at the time. Magellan's epic voyage started with 270 men and 5 ships, but only one ship and 18 to 22 survivors limped home after 3 grueling years. Believe it or not, trees and plants are built mostly from thin air. They pull carbon from CO2, create 95% of their mass, with only a tiny bit coming from the soil. The pronghorn is the world's second fastest land mammal, built for long-distance running across the plains. It can run at a top speed of 88.5 kilometers per hour or 55 miles per hour, slower than the cheetah, but it can sustain top speeds much longer than the other. In 2000, Slovenian adventurer Davo Karnikar cemented his place in history by skiing down from the top of Mount Everest, a first. His epic descent took 4 hours and 40 minutes. The Amazon rainforest is one of Earth's most powerful water engines. Its trees release 20 billion tons of water vapor into the atmosphere daily through transpiration, creating vital rain systems that sustain life across South America. Saturn's rings are mind-blowingly thin, just 100 meters thick on average, even though they are incredibly wide. Madrid's Kilómetro Cero plaque in Spain marks the spot from which all roads and distances across the country are measured. It's true, redheads have fewer hairs, around 90,000 compared to a blonde's 140,000, but each strand is thicker, giving them a uniquely voluminous look. A dodecahedron is a three-dimensional shape that is part of the family of Platonic solids. It has 12 faces, each of which is a regular pentagon. In addition to its 12 faces, it also has 20 vertices and 30 edges. Those delicious Swiss cheeses like Gruyere and Emmentaler, along with other aged cheeses like Parmesan and Gouda, are practically lactose-free. The long aging process gives bacteria plenty of time to break down the lactose. Denmark's Dannebrog isn't just a flag, it's a piece of history. Dating back to 1219, it's the oldest national flag still flying today. Jupiter's year is almost 12 Earth years long. It takes that giant planet nearly a dozen of our years to circle the sun. 1,089 times 9 equals 9,801, a pair of palindromic numbers. Cool, right? The pygmy marmoset is unbelievably tiny. The world's smallest monkey weighs only about 100 grams. That's like holding a small apple. Poaching is driving a tuskless trend in African elephants. Because tusked elephants are targeted, tuskless ones are more likely to survive and pass on their genes. It's a grim example of evolution in action. Blue whale babies can gain up to 250 pounds or 113 kilograms a day, which is just mind-blowing growth. Kangaroos can have 3 joeys at once, a tiny one suckling, a bigger one in the pouch, and even a fertilized egg waiting its turn, held in a state of diapause or in a suspended development. Our closest invertebrate relatives, sea squirts or tunicates, can make cellulose. That's a plant-like trick that's pretty unique in the animal kingdom. Clownfish are sequential hermaphrodites, or it even has another fancy name called protandrous hermaphroditism. If the female dies, the dominant male becomes female. This adaptation helps ensure the survival of the group, as there will always be a breeding pair as long as there are at least 2 fish. It's particularly important since clownfish live in small groups associated with specific sea anemones, and they rarely travel between anemones, so finding a new mate from outside the group would be difficult. The James Webb Space Telescope is incredibly sensitive, capable of detecting something as dim as the heat signature of a 5-watt bulb located on the moon when viewed from Earth. A hydrogen bomb is way hotter than the sun's core. While the sun burns at a scorching 15 million degrees Celsius, a hydrogen bomb detonation can reach a mind-boggling 100 million degrees Celsius. Also, the plasma used to slice through steel is actually hotter than the surface of the sun. Trinidad's Pitch Lake is a truly unique geological formation, the world's largest natural deposit of asphalt. This remarkable lake has been a source of asphalt for centuries, used by both indigenous people and modern industry for various purposes, including road construction. Albedo is a measure of how much light or radiation is reflected by a surface. It's usually expressed as a value between 0 and 1, where 0 means no reflection, complete absorption, and 1 means perfect reflection, no absorption. For example, snow has a high albedo because it reflects most of the sunlight, while a dark asphalt road has a low albedo because it absorbs much of the sunlight. Earth's albedo is about 0.3, while the moon's is only 0.1. This means Earth reflects 3 times more sunlight than the moon. Honeymoon really does have something to do with honey. Back in the day, newlyweds would drink mead for a whole month after their wedding, hoping for a sweet and happy start to their marriage. Some also say that it comes from the idea that the first month or moon of a marriage was the sweetest. To make a gallon of cider, you'll likely need around 36 apples, give or take, depending on their size and how juicy they are. The U.S. cultivates a stunning array of over 2,500 apple types, though only about 100 dominate the market. The spacesuit design used for the first spacewalks in 1983 stayed in use, with upgrades for over 30 years. Don't let Earth's size fool you. It's a heavyweight. Our planet's mass is about 5.7 times greater than the combined mass of the Moon, Mars, Pluto, and Mercury. A bee's life lasts only about 40 days. In that short time, it pollinates around 150,000 flowers and produces less than a teaspoon of honey. For us, it's just a teaspoon. But for the bee, it's the work of an entire lifetime. Finland's coffee obsession is real. They drink way more coffee than Italy, roughly twice as much per person each year. Earthworms don't have conventional urinary systems like many other animals. Instead, they excrete their nitrogenous waste equivalent to urine through their skin using specialized cells called nephridia. These nephridia are spread throughout their body segments and filter waste from their body fluid, which then passes through their skin. This system is actually quite efficient and works well with their moist environment. The waste helps keep their skin moist, which is essential since earthworms need to stay damp to breathe through their skin as well. The grandfather paradox is one of time travel's most famous conundrums. If you go back in time and stop your grandparents from meeting, you'd never be born. So how could you have gone back in the first place? It's a real head-scratcher. It's funny but true. Your cheap Casio probably tells time better than a fancy Rolex. Those mechanical Rolexes are vulnerable to temperature, magnetism, and winding issues, while quartz watches are super accurate thanks to their vibrating crystal. Nearly all cacti are native to the Americas, especially Mexico, a hotspot for these unique plants. Over 95% of all cactus species originated there. Adermatoglyphia is a rare genetic disorder that means no fingerprints. A mutation in the SMARCAD1 gene prevents the development of those unique ridges on our fingers, palms, and soles, leaving them smooth. Caterpillars have 6 legs, just like all insects. The seeming appearance of other legs are actually protrusions from the caterpillar's abdomen called prolegs. They can even be equipped with tiny hooks, serve as gripping tools, aiding in movement and feeding, but they are not true jointed legs. Caffeine serves as a natural bug repellent for coffee plants. Interestingly, coffee, cacao, and tea plants all develop this caffeine defense on their own. Fun fact, plastic surgery isn't about plastic materials at all. It's named after the Greek word for shaping or molding, and it predates plastic invention by decades. The Philippines is a vast archipelago comprised of approximately 7,641 islands, a number that excludes countless smaller landforms, such as sandbars, that are subject to tidal changes. Why spray perfume on your wrists and neck? These spots radiate heat from blood vessels close to the skin, helping the scent last longer. Hedgehogs have a normally rapid heartbeat of around 250 beats per minute. However, when they enter hibernation to survive the winter, their bodies undergo a dramatic transformation. Their body temperature plummets by 20% or more, and their heart rate slows to an astonishingly low 20 beats per minute, sometimes making them appear lifeless. Tetsuya Fujita, a pioneering meteorologist, developed the Fujita scale, or F scale, a groundbreaking system for classifying tornado intensity based on the damage they inflict. This scale revolutionized our understanding of these powerful storms and provided a consistent way to categorize them. Comets are surprisingly dark. They only reflect about 4% of the sunlight that hits them. This is why they can be hard to spot until they get close to the sun and start to sublimate, creating a coma and tail. That freshly cut grass smell? It's not just a summer scent. It's a chemical SOS from the grass, a mix of signals that can warn other plants, fight off microbes, and yes, sometimes even attract predators to the herbivores munching on them. It's a curious fact that egg yolk color is often a matter of consumer preference rather than actual taste difference. Farmers can manipulate yolk color by adjusting chicken feed, catering to regional beliefs that darker orange or lighter yellow yolks indicate superior quality. However, despite these visual differences, the taste remains largely the same. Powered flight, a complex and energetically demanding adaptation, has independently evolved 4 times throughout evolutionary history, in insects, pterosaurs, birds, and bats. Each of these groups has evolved unique anatomical features to achieve flight, showcasing the power of convergent evolution. The accumulation of barnacles on ship hulls, known as biofouling, poses a major challenge for maritime operations. The U.S. Navy estimates that heavy barnacle growth can increase a ship's weight and drag by as much as 60%, resulting in a substantial increase in fuel consumption, potentially reaching 40% or more, with significant economic and environmental consequences. Our sense of smell has a remarkable link to our memories and emotions due to the brain's anatomy. The olfactory bulb, responsible for processing smells, is located in close proximity to the amygdala and hippocampus, brain regions deeply involved in emotion and memory. This direct connection explains why certain scents can evoke powerful and often nostalgic memories. The Human Genome Project was launched in 1990, so was the Hubble Space Telescope. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission estimates that around 10,000 people in this country are injured each year in escalator accidents and must go to an emergency room for treatment. While phone jack sizes have evolved, the fundamental principles have remained the same since their creation in 1878, over 140 years ago. Fun tidbit: humanity achieved the monumental feat of landing a person on the moon before the simple, yet revolutionary idea of putting wheels on suitcases became widely adopted. MSG, or monosodium glutamate, is a naturally occurring substance. It's a salt form of glutamic acid, an amino acid found in many foods, including tomatoes, cheese, and mushrooms. While MSG is often produced synthetically, it's essentially the same as the glutamate found naturally in these foods. The populations of humpback whales worldwide have rebounded. When the species was listed as endangered in 1966, only about 5,000 humpback whales were left. Today, that number has multiplied at least 20-fold and could be as high as 100,000. Observations of the American bumblebee have declined by a staggering 90% over the past 20 years. This sharp decline is a cause for concern as bumblebees are crucial pollinators for many plants, including crops. Zimbabwe holds the Guinness World Record for most official languages. The Southern African nation has 16 official languages. Koalas are the only non-primate animals known to have fingerprints. This is a fascinating example of convergent evolution, where 2 unrelated species independently evolve similar traits. Fingerprints most likely enhance grip, and may very well play an equally important role in the development of tactile sensitivity needed in both species to manage the kinds of objects we routinely handle. An albatross takes its time to reach maturity. It can take up to 10 years. Many species can live well over 50 years. Some individuals have even been recorded to live up to 70 years or more. Titin, also known as connectin, is the largest known protein, composed of 34,350 amino acids. The scientific name for titin is 189,819 letters long, and it's made up of the names of all the amino acids that make it up. It's cited as the longest word in the world. Some argue that such a long chemical name doesn't truly qualify as a word in the traditional sense. Guam's jungles have as many as 40 times the amount of spiders as nearby islands due to a lack of forest birds. The decline in bird population is attributed to the accidental introduction of the brown tree snake in 1940. 19 astronauts have died during spaceflight that either crossed or was intended to cross the Kármán line, which is commonly considered the boundary of space. Given that approximately 676 people have flown into space, this results in a fatality rate of about 2.8%. Did you ever wonder why the save icon still looks like a floppy disk, even though we haven't used those in ages? It's kind of a funny little design quirk, isn't it? Well, that's called a skeuomorph. It's when something new keeps the look of the old thing it replaced, so even though we're saving files digitally, the icon still looks like a physical floppy disk. Sloths' hands don't work like human hands. In fact, they work the exact opposite when it comes to resting position. While human hands are naturally opened while relaxed, sloth hands are naturally closed. This means that sloths must exert energy to open their hands, the inverse of humans. Thus, while asleep in the trees hanging onto branches, sloths' hands are clamped down, keeping them secure during their rest. Magnolia trees have been around since the Cretaceous period, meaning dinosaurs were around to appreciate their beautiful blooms. But bees were not, because they came later in the evolution flowchart. So how did magnolia trees achieve the pollination that allowed them to survive and flourish over the past 95 million years? The answer is beetles. When a foraging beetle comes bearing pollen, the flower closes its petals, actually tepals, around the insect and traps it. Fresh pollen covers the beetle, and it's free to pollinate another flower. Platypuses create milk but don't feed their young via nipples. Instead, they excrete milk-like sweat all over their stomachs, and their babies lick it up. Because platypuses are aquatic animals, they don't produce sweat, so there's no chance of newly hatched babies ingesting perspiration along with their sustenance. Still, the feeding process is less hygienic than that of other mammals because the milk doesn't go straight from a nipple to the mouth of the mother's young. To combat the possibility of bacterial infection or illness, platypus milk has an elevated amount of antibacterial proteins. Narcissists often develop an idealized self-image that doesn't align with reality. They become deeply attached to this image and invest heavily in maintaining it, often at the expense of genuine relationships and personal growth. This discrepancy between their self-image and their actual self can lead to a range of problematic behaviors and interpersonal difficulties. Migraines are a complex neurological condition that can involve a variety of debilitating symptoms, including headaches, visual disturbances, nausea, and sensitivity to light and sound. A headache is just one symptom. Not all migraines include this step. The saiga antelope is a critically endangered species native to the Eurasian steppes, known for its distinctive, flexible nose that helps filter dust and warm cold air. These unique antelopes have experienced dramatic population declines, primarily due to poaching and habitat loss, with their lifespan ranging from 10-12 years in the wild. The award for the longest land mammal migration on the entire African continent goes to the Great Nile Migration in South Sudan, confirmed by a comprehensive aerial survey in 2024. Involving millions of antelopes from various species, this migration dwarfs the previously renowned Serengeti migration and is now recognized as the largest land mammal migration on Earth. Lewy body dementia is a type of dementia that affects thinking, movement, behavior, and mood. It is caused by abnormal deposits of a protein called alpha-synuclein in the brain, which form clumps called Lewy bodies. These clumps damage brain cells and interfere with communication between them. LBD is the second most common type of dementia after Alzheimer's disease. It's a progressive disease, meaning that symptoms worsen over time. Robin Williams is a famous case of someone who had this kind of dementia. The leatherback turtle knows a thing or two about travel. These deep-sea divers engage in the longest migration of any sea turtle on the planet. They cross the Pacific Ocean, traveling from feeding areas in California and Oregon to breeding grounds in Indonesia, covering more than 6,000 miles or 10,000 kilometers each way. Female leatherbacks will make these tremendous journeys to return to the exact beaches where they were born, navigating using an extraordinary combination of magnetic field detection, ocean currents, and celestial cues. In the African savanna, acacia trees have evolved a clever survival strategy to protect against herbivores. When heavily grazed by animals like giraffes, they release ethylene gas, a chemical signal that travels up to 45 meters. Neighboring trees detect this warning and within minutes ramp up their tannin levels, making their leaves toxic and unpalatable. While acacias can tolerate some level of grazing, they have evolved a remarkable mechanism to protect themselves from being completely consumed. Sooty shearwaters are renowned for their incredible migratory feats. These seabirds undertake one of the longest migrations of any bird species, covering vast distances across the Pacific Ocean. Their migration is a remarkable journey. They breed in colonies in the southern hemisphere, typically in New Zealand and Australia. After the breeding season, they embark on a long, arduous journey to the northern Pacific Ocean. Here they spend several months feeding on abundant food sources such as squid and small fish. Sooty shearwaters are true ocean nomads, spending most of their lives at sea. Around 232 million years ago, rain fell almost everywhere during a span known as the Carnian pluvial event. After millions of years of dry climates, Earth entered this wet period and stayed in it for nearly 2 million years. TASER is an acronym for Tom A. Swift Electric Rifle. The term has become a proprietary eponym. It's even a verb today, considering you can be tasered. If you're standing still at the equator, you're actually moving at about 1,037 miles per hour due to Earth's rotation. Book nerds are known for loving the smell of old books, and believe it or not, there is a word for it. Bibliosmia means the act of smelling books, and to some, it is as aromatic as perfume. A 28-gram milk chocolate bar contains approximately 3 to 6 milligrams of caffeine. While this amount is relatively low, it could potentially cause sleeplessness or an increased heart rate in sensitive individuals. It takes an estimated 1,800 gallons of water to produce a pound of beef, which works out to 27 gallons per gram of protein. A lion's roar can reach 114 decibels, measured at a 1-meter distance, and can be heard up to 5 miles away. The secret to their powerful roar lies in their unique vocal cords. Unlike most animals, lions, and tigers too, have square-shaped vocal folds. This special shape lets them produce that thunderous sound without straining their lungs as much as other animals would. About 12.5% of a dog's brain is dedicated to interpreting smells. Dogs have a more developed, specialized structure called Jacobson's organ or vomeronasal organ that allows them to process scent separately from breathing, also making their sense of smell far superior to humans. Because of the gravitational pull between the Earth and the Moon, our planet's rotation is gradually slowing down, making days about 2.3 milliseconds longer every 100 years. While it might not sound like much, this slowdown has been happening for millions of years. In fact, when dinosaurs walked the Earth, a day lasted only 23 hours. Children have approximately 30,000 taste buds, and they are located throughout the mouth. Unfortunately, for most adults, many of these, up to 2/3, have disappeared by the time of adulthood, and they are largely restricted to the tongue. The skin is the human body's largest organ. It usually makes up around 16% of a person's total body weight. Most mammals tend to have twice as many nipples as the average number of babies they have at once. For instance, humans usually have one baby at a time, but we have 2 nipples. This interesting pattern is sometimes called the half-nipple rule. However, opossums seem to be an exception to this rule. They have an odd number of nipples, which is quite unusual in the animal kingdom. Cats are a bit unique when it comes to reproduction. Unlike many other animals, a female cat only releases eggs when she mates. This means that if she mates with multiple male cats, each egg could be fertilized by a different one. So, a litter of kittens can have different dads. However, just because kittens in a litter might look different doesn't always mean they have different dads. Sometimes it's simply due to the way cat genetics work. Horses are obligatory nose breathers. Their soft palate separates the airway from the mouth, preventing them from breathing through their mouths. Additionally, horses can't pant to cool down like many other mammals. Dragonflies have a 95% success rate in killing their prey, making them the most successful predatory hunters on the planet. In comparison, cheetahs have a 58% success rate, and lions are successful only 25% of the time.
The kiwi is one of a kind. It's the only bird with nostrils at the tip of its beak, helping it sniff out dinner in the dirt. Multiply 9 by any number, add the digits of the result, and you'll always end up with 9. Stridulation? It's how many insects like crickets make noise by rubbing their wings or legs together to chirp, buzz, or call for mates. The Coleoptera order, which includes beetles, is the largest group of insects, with over 400,000 known species. Beetles make up nearly 40% of all insect species and are found in almost every habitat on Earth. Their hard exoskeleton and wing covers, elytra, help protect them, contributing to their evolutionary success. The jet d'eau in Lake Geneva shoots water 140 meters or 460 feet into the air with a staggering 8 tons of water suspended at any moment. It's a breathtaking sight and a marvel of engineering. A single cottonwood tree can unleash 40 million seeds in a season, each carried by the wind on fluffy fibers. They can travel miles and float for hours. Storks are famously quiet birds, with an underdeveloped syrinx that limits their vocal range. Instead of songs, they communicate through hisses, grunts, and rhythmic bill clattering, unique and subtle compared to other birds. Eagles and many other birds of prey have exceptional vision that extends into the ultraviolet UV spectrum. This allows them to detect UV reflective substances, like the urine trails of small mammals, which stand out against the ground. This gives them a huge advantage when hunting. The word lens comes from the Latin for lentil because early lenses were shaped like the flat, round seeds, a small but tasty bit of etymology. Let's shake things up. Green, black, red, and white peppercorns all come from the same plant, Piper nigrum. Green ones are fresh, black ones are dried green ones, and white ones? Just black peppercorns with the outer layer removed, and red peppercorns can refer to the ripe berries. But here's the twist. Pink peppercorns aren't even real pepper. They're actually berries from the Brazilian pepper tree, Chinus terebinthifolius, a completely different plant. To figure out a fish's age, scientists count growth rings on its scales or otoliths, ear bones. Like tree rings, these layers reveal the fish's life story, 1 year at a time. Sharks and rays lack otoliths, so their age is determined by counting the growth rings formed on the vertebra or by counting growth bands on the fin spine. The word hormone comes from the Greek hormone, meaning to set in motion. It perfectly describes these chemical messengers that travel through the body, activating and regulating distant organs. An endorheic lake is a closed basin with no outlet, often turning saline as water evaporates. The Caspian Sea, the largest of its kind, covers 371,000 square kilometers, 143,000 square miles, and is bordered by 5 countries. Elephants go through 6 sets of molars in their lifetime. When the last set wears out, usually by age 60 to 70, they can no longer chew, a key factor in the end of their natural life. About 30% of people allergic to latex also react to avocados, thanks to proteins that are structurally similar to those found in certain fruits and vegetables. This latex fruit syndrome can extend to other foods like chestnuts, kiwis, bananas, and even potatoes, making life tricky for those with latex allergies. Blackjack, the world's most popular casino game, evolved from the French 21, 21. The name blackjack came from a U.S. promotion in the early 1900s where a hand with the ace of spades and a black jack paid extra. Mars's moons, Phobos and Deimos, are small, potato-shaped, and likely captured asteroids. Named for fear and terror, they orbit the planet named after the Roman god of war, a perfect trio. The Congo River is a huge natural barrier that's shaped where chimps and gorillas live. Gorillas stick to the north, split into western and eastern groups, while chimps mostly stay north too, though some have made it south over time. The bonobo is only found exclusively south of the Congo River in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This separation by the Congo River has contributed to the evolutionary divergence between chimps and bonobos. Nine-banded armadillos are one of the few animals known to carry leprosy, Hansen's disease. Their lower body temperature, around 89 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 to 35 degrees Celsius, makes them ideal hosts for the bacteria Mycobacterium leprae. While transmission to humans is rare, it can occur through prolonged contact or handling. Fortunately, leprosy is highly treatable with modern antibiotics. Humans have over 600 muscles, making up roughly 35 to 40% of our body weight. These muscles power everything from running to breathing, proving just how vital they are. The Indo-European language family is the world's largest, with 46% of people speaking one of its languages. It includes most European tongues, as well as Hindi, Farsi, and many others, all tracing back to a common ancient root. Basque or Euskara is a linguistic enigma, unrelated to any other language family, including Indo-European. Spoken by 750,000 people in Spain and France, it's one of Europe's oldest and most unique tongues. Termite queens are incredibly prolific egg layers, capable of producing up to 36,000 eggs per day in some species. Over their lifetime, which can span decades, they can lay millions of eggs, ensuring the survival and expansion of their colonies. The beluga sturgeon is a true giant of freshwater, growing up to 24 feet 7 meters long and weighing 2,500 pounds 1,100 kilograms. Found only in the Caspian and Black Sea basins, these colossal fish are critically endangered due to overfishing. An astronaut's spacesuit weighs a hefty 280 pounds 27 kilograms on Earth, but in space, it's weightless. Still, maneuvering in it is no easy task, thanks to its bulky, life-saving design. You can't make a proper cup of tea on Mount Everest. At that height, water boils at just 68 gray Celsius or wondered, way too cool to brew a decent cup. The Portuguese are the largest immigrant group in Luxembourg, making up about 14.5% of the population. Their migration began in the late 1960s and 1970s, driven by economic opportunities and formalized through a labor agreement between Portugal and Luxembourg in 1970. Termite mounds have been around for ages. Some fossilized ones in Namibia date back 220 million years. Others from the Miocene epoch, like those in Brazil, show these tiny architects have been shaping Earth for millennia. Komodo dragons are eating machines. They can eat down 80% of their weight in one go. This is due to their expandable stomachs and flexible jaws. Also, this ability to eat so much at once is a survival adaptation. Komodo dragons often go long periods without food, so when they have the chance, they maximize their intake. Camilo Golgi changed biology with his nerve cell stain, revealing brain connections in stunning detail. He also discovered the Golgi apparatus in 1897, a crucial cell organelle involved in processing and packaging proteins, earning him a Nobel Prize. Scottish chemist William Ramsay rocked science by discovering argon in 1894, then neon, krypton, and xenon by 1898. He also isolated helium for the first time, snagging a Nobel Prize for his noble gas breakthroughs. Smithsonite, a dazzling zinc carbonate mineral, comes in stunning blues, greens, and pinks, named after James Smithson, founder of the Smithsonian Institution. Marcello Malpighi, a 17th-century Italian scientist, is often called the father of histology. Using early microscopes, he made groundbreaking discoveries like capillaries, filling in the gaps of how blood circulates, and was the first to describe red blood cells. His work laid the foundation for modern anatomy and physiology, changing how we see the human body. MRI scanners started as NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance machines, but the nuclear part was dropped to avoid scaring people. Now they're known as MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. Same tech, friendlier name. Vegemite, Australia's iconic sandwich spread, is made from brewer's yeast extract, a byproduct of beer production, mixed with veggies, salt, and spices. It's not just beer leftovers, but a carefully crafted vitamin-rich paste. Orbiting Earth at 17,500 miles per hour, or 28,000 kilometers per hour, astronauts on the ISS see 16 sunrises and sunsets every 24 hours. Talk about a whirlwind tour of the planet. Louis Agassiz is known for his work in natural history, particularly in glaciology and ichthyology, the study of fish, but also pushed some seriously harmful racist ideas. A complex and very problematic figure from science history. Robert Koch cracked the code on deadly diseases, pinpointing the bacteria behind cholera, tuberculosis, and anthrax. His methods and Koch's postulates were highly influential in the development of microbiology. And yes, you guessed it right, another well-earned Nobel Prize. Colombia is the only country in South America that borders both the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Science confirms it. Hearing half a conversation, like a phone call, is way more distracting than a full chat. Your brain works overtime to fill in the gaps, making it harder to focus. The liver has two blood supplies. The hepatic artery keeps it alive, while the hepatic portal vein delivers nutrients from the gut. It sorts through everything, deciding what the body needs and what to filter out. A true multitasker. A thirsty camel can gulp down 200 liters or 53 gallons of water in just a few minutes. Rhinidophobia is the fear of frogs and toads. Women's hearts beat a bit faster than men's, roughly 8 to 10 more times a minute. This difference is attributed to several factors, including smaller heart size in women, hormonal differences, and body composition. Women are more prone to osteoporosis because their estrogen levels drop sharply after menopause, directly impacting bone density. In men, estrogen, produced from testosterone, declines more slowly, offering some protection against rapid bone loss. The scientific name for the big toe, hallux, sounds like something straight out of a wizard's spellbook. That's why a bunion is medically called hallux valgus. 85% of Russia's population lives west of the Ural Mountains, in the European part of the country, leaving the vast Siberian east largely empty. The Arctic fox is Iceland's only native land mammal, having roamed the island since the Ice Age. All other land mammals were brought by humans. Arctic foxes swap their snow-white winter fur for a gray-brown summer coat around June, blending seamlessly with the changing tundra. Lake Balkhash in Kazakhstan is a natural oddity. Its western half is freshwater, while its eastern half is salty, separated by a narrow strait. Cuba stands out in the Caribbean as the only country with a regular railway system, a legacy of its 19th century sugar industry that still runs today. The proboscis monkey, with its iconic long nose, is a skilled swimmer, diving underwater for several minutes to escape predators in Borneo's mangroves. It's one of the few primates built for the water. The name brandy comes from the Dutch brandewijn, meaning burnt wine, a nod to the distillation process that transforms wine into this rich, flavorful spirit. Ever wonder why people look better after a few drinks? A 2012 study found that alcohol makes it harder to notice facial asymmetry, so everyone seems more attractive. Tonic water can glow under UV light thanks to quinine, its core ingredient. A quick way to spot the difference between moths and butterflies is to watch how they rest. Moths usually keep their wings open flat, while butterflies fold theirs vertically. But as with nature, there are always exceptions.
The number of active Monaco Army is 82 people. It is the only state in the world where the size of the regular army is less than the size of a military band with 85 performers. The word tariff is thought to come from the town of Tarifa in southern Spain. Back when it was under Arab rule around the 8th century, officials there would charge fees for ships passing through the Strait of Gibraltar, which was an early form of taxing trade. The number of licensed gondoliers in Venice is regulated, often cited as being around 425. The cholesterol-free label you often see on vegetable oil bottles is purely a marketing strategy, as cholesterol is only found in animal fats, meaning all pure vegetable oils are naturally cholesterol-free. Meet Nepenthes raja, the Godzilla of carnivorous plants. Its gallon-sized pitchers are death traps for bugs and the occasional unlucky rodent, earning it the title of largest carnivorous plant by volume, found only on Borneo's misty peaks. The oldest airline still operating is the Royal Dutch Airlines, KLM, which was founded on October 1919. The coco de mer palm, which grows on the Seychelles Islands, produces the world's largest seeds. A single seed can weigh as much as 18 kilograms. Mozambique's flag packs a visual punch. It's the only national banner waving a Kalashnikov AK-47, honoring its bloody fight for independence. The rifles clash with a farming hoe screams, "Peace through strength." Mauna Kea is Hawaii's sleeping giant, 33,000 feet from ocean floor to summit, dwarfing Everest by over a mile. Though only 13,800 feet poke above water, its volcanic base makes it the tallest mountain on Earth by total height. The mountain's name means White Mountain in Hawaiian, named for its seasonal snow caps, a rarity in the tropics. With its clear skies and minimal light pollution, the summit of Mauna Kea provides ideal conditions for stargazing and scientific research. The presence of multiple telescopes from various countries makes it a hub for astronomical discoveries. San Marino, a tiny state founded in the 4th century and located within Italy, is not only Europe's oldest existing state, but also the world's oldest republic, covering an area of just 61 square kilometers or 38 square miles. QR codes started as a Toyota factory hack in 1994, a way to scan car parts faster than clunky barcodes. Today, they're everywhere. Data mining is the digital equivalent of panning for gold in a river of numbers. Using algorithms as your sieve, it uncovers hidden patterns. And yes, it's why Netflix always knows your next binge watch. Despite being a programming language created way back in 1959 and often thought to be obsolete, COBOL, aka Common Business-Oriented Language, is still surprisingly vital to the finance world, quietly powering an estimated $3 trillion in daily transactions on old bank mainframes, because swapping it out for something newer would be a massive and risky undertaking. Before microchips, computer was a job title. The term computer originally referred to a person who performed calculations or computations. The Banaway rice terraces in the Philippines were carved by hand into mountainsides over 2,000 years ago. Socotra Island isn't just remote, it's a botanical time capsule. After drifting away from Africa millions of years ago, 37% of its plants evolved into species found nowhere else, like umbrella-shaped dragon's blood trees that bleed red sap. Harry S. Truman is the last U.S. president to skip college, yet his shrewd leadership ended Yakonkuz and birthed NATO. Lithium is the lightest metal, being about 5 times lighter than aluminum and almost half the density of water. The word umbrella comes from the Latin word umbra. In Latin, umbra means shadow. This reflects the early purpose of umbrellas. The Netherlands is the second biggest exporter of agricultural products in the world, second only to the US, which has roughly 270 times the Netherlands' landmass. Dutch farmers produce 5 times more food per hectare than the EU average, making them the most efficient feeders of the planet. Like water, solid bismuth is less dense than its liquid form, causing it to expand when frozen. Gallium, a metal that melts in your hand, literally at 29.8 degrees Celsius or 85.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists use it for liquid mirrors, and pranksters love to disappear spoons in hot tea. On July 4, 2011, sign language was given the status of the second national language in Iceland. Octopus eyes are a masterpiece of parallel evolution. They work like ours, but better, with no blind spot and the ability to see polarized light. The kicker? They built this advanced system totally independently, proof that evolution loves a good design, even when it invents it twice. The Roman Empire constructed over 80,000 kilometers or almost 50,000 miles of stone-paved roads. Many of these ancient roads have lasted to this day, with some still in use, showcasing the Romans' incredible engineering skills. Oligodendrocytes are the unsung electricians of your nervous system. These multitasking cells wrap nerve fibers in fatty myelin, insulating up to 50 wires at once to turbocharge brain signals. But they're not just insulation installers. They also act like neuron snack bars, pumping out energy drinks, aka lactate, to keep your thoughts firing. Damage to oligodendrocytes can lead to demyelinating diseases such as multiple sclerosis, where the loss of myelin disrupts nerve signal transmission. Bones are not merely structural, they function as endocrine organs, releasing hormones like osteocalcin. It has positive effects on muscle function and cognitive abilities like memory. Furthermore, the bone marrow within bones is the primary site of blood cell production, generating hundreds of billions of blood cells, including approximately 200 billion red blood cells, every day to replenish the body's supply. Some humans have unbreakable bones. The LRP5 mutation makes bones 8 times denser than normal, virtually shatterproof. Only 50 cases exist worldwide. The missing nose of the Great Sphinx wasn't just lost to time or weather. While the exact story is debated, one account says a religious leader deliberately removed it in the 14th century because depicting human faces was forbidden. Here's a surprising fact: diamonds can burn. Since they're made of carbon, they'll oxidize when heated with oxygen. At temperatures above 900 degrees Celsius, or 1,652 degrees Fahrenheit, a diamond will essentially turn into carbon dioxide gas, leaving nothing behind. It's actually easier to burn a diamond than to melt the gold or platinum it might be set in. Argentina is the only country named after a chemical element. Its name comes from the Latin word for silver, argentum. In zero gravity, the physiological conditions that cause snoring, like gravity pulling tissues down in the airway, are absent. Therefore, astronauts in orbit snore far less in microgravity. Many common insect repellents, particularly those containing DEET, work by interfering with mosquitoes' ability to detect the scents that humans emit, like carbon dioxide and lactic acid, which they use to locate hosts. They don't necessarily repel the mosquitoes physically, but rather make it harder for the mosquitoes to find you. The Congo River is Earth's ultimate underwater canyon, plunging deeper than 2 statues of Liberty stacked end to end, or in some places more than 220 meters or 722 feet. Its churning currents sculpt abysses so vast, locals call it the river that swallows all rivers. Nature's sneakiest imposter, the so-called Siberian cedar, actually a pine in disguise. Though it shares the cedar's grandeur and scent, its pine cone DNA betrays it. Black walnut trees have secret. They pump juglone into the soil, a toxin that cripples competing plants for years. It's a brutal strategy to monopolize sunlight, leaving a no-grow zone even after the tree is gone. Also, there's a name for this process. It's called allelopathy. Mustard plants are more than just the source of your favorite condiment. Did you know that mustard plants belong to the Brassica family, which also includes broccoli, cabbage, and kale? Mustard seeds come in different varieties, such as white, brown, and black, each with unique flavors and uses. Canada is the largest producer of mustard seeds. Pine trees are nature's overachievers. With 120-plus species, they've conquered every continent except Antarctica. Some, like the ancient bristlecone, defy time by living 4,000 or more years, older than the pyramids. And the towering ponderosa pine, it rockets past 200 feet, proving evergreens don't mess around. Satellites that are no longer operational are typically moved to special graveyard orbits or directed to re-enter the atmosphere to minimize space debris. NASA estimates there are over 8,000 used satellites and other objects in orbit. Every second, the sun becomes about 4 million tons lighter as it converts mass into energy. Despite this huge loss rate, it's a tiny fraction of the sun's total mass, and the sun is expected to continue fusing hydrogen for at least another 5 billion years. The little plastic bits at the ends of shoelaces are called aglets. The modules used to supply the International Space Station were named Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello, referencing the Renaissance artists. The king cobra's bite is nature's ultimate power move. Its venom can topple an elephant in hours, liquefying the showdown between reptile and titan. While the snake rarely picks fights this big, its toxin is a brutal reminder that in the jungle, size doesn't always win. Contrary to popular belief, dark chocolate, particularly with high cocoa content and less sugar, might not be as bad for your teeth as other sweets. Some compounds in cocoa could even help slow down the growth of bacteria that cause cavities. However, this only applies to dark chocolate, not sugary milk chocolate, and it's definitely not a replacement for good dental hygiene. Dolphin communication is quite advanced. Studies suggest that each dolphin develops a unique whistle pattern that works a bit like a personal name. Other dolphins seem to use these specific whistles to call out to individuals, and the dolphins respond when they hear their name. The QWERTY keyboard isn't a typo. It's a 19th century hack to stop typewriters from jamming. By scattering common letter pairs like T and H, inventors ensured metal arms wouldn't clash. Oddly, we're still stuck with it today, even though jamming is a non-issue. Casinos are psychological labyrinths. No clocks, no sunlight, just endless carpet swirls to hypnotize you into 5 more minutes, because the house knows time is money and they'd rather you forget both. When 2 neutron stars collide, they create an event called a kilonova. These powerful explosions, though less bright than supernovae, are where many of the universe's heavy metals are forged. Scientists estimate that a single kilonova can produce an amount of gold roughly equivalent to the mass of many Earths. Research suggests that the perceived cost of wine can actually boost activity in the parts of our brain associated with pleasure, making us enjoy it more. This happens even with the exact same wine, highlighting how our expectations can create a kind of luxury placebo effect, and showing that in some ways, pleasure truly is a state of mind influenced by what we think we're experiencing. Blood phobia affects 3 to 4% of people, causing a unique physiological response where individuals faint at the sight of blood. Unlike other phobias that increase heart rate, blood phobia triggers a vasovagal reaction that dramatically drops blood pressure and heart rate. Researchers propose this might be an evolutionary defense mechanism. Octopuses have around 33,000 protein-coding genes, and humans have around 20,000, including genes unique to cephalopods, like for camouflage and neural plasticity. Paper clips were invented in the 1890s and have remained largely unchanged since. While they are hibernating, bears do not urinate. Their kidneys shut down almost completely, and urea, a major component of urine, is recycled into proteins that maintain a bear's muscle mass and organ tissues.
Around €1 million is thrown into the Trevi Fountain annually. Coins are collected and donated to charity, specifically to Caritas, a Catholic charity. Ricotta gets its name, which means recooked, from the way it's made, by reheating the leftover whey from other cheese production. Imagine a jellyfish longer than a blue whale. The longest one ever recorded, a lion's mane jellyfish, measured a whopping 37 meters, over 121 feet long. Its bell alone was over 7 feet wide. By the way, jellyfish are mostly water, about 95% water in fact. To compare, the jelly we eat is only about a third water. While sugarcane dominates global sugar production, around 65%, sugar beets play a significant role in the United States, accounting for roughly 50% of the country's sugar output. The absence of traffic lights in Thimphu, Bhutan's capital, reflects the country's emphasis on tradition and simplicity, a feature uncommon among capital cities. In an officially sanctioned table tennis match, balls are required to be thrown at least 16 centimeters or around 6 inches in the air before serving. There are an estimated 250 trillion termites on Earth, outnumbering humans by roughly 40,000 to 1. These tiny insects are one of the world's largest natural sources of methane, a greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. While it may not seem like much, An 18-inch pizza is significantly larger than a 12-inch pizza. To be precise, it contains over twice the area. Enjoy your next large pizza. Kazakhstan is a land of superlatives. Not only is it the ninth largest country on Earth, but it also holds the title of the world's largest landlocked nation. With vast stretches of open land, it also has one of the lowest population densities in the world. In those moments of all-out effort during a sprint, a person can actually generate up to 2,000 watts of power, which is equivalent to about 2.5 horsepower. While it can vary, winemakers generally use around 600 to 800 grapes to make a standard bottle of wine. Even though volcanic eruptions might seem like rare events, the Earth is home to approximately 1,500 active volcanoes. Interestingly, 169 of them are located within the United States. Since 1950, we've lost 90% of the big fish in our oceans. That includes familiar fish like tuna, swordfish, and cod. It's like taking 10 fish out of the ocean and only leaving one behind. Mistletoe is a type of parasitic plant from the Santalales order. It has a unique way of spreading. Birds eat its berries, and the sticky seeds survive digestion. These seeds then cling to the birds, who eventually rub them off onto tree branches, allowing the mistletoe to grow. In a correct way, mistletoe is a hemiparasite. This means it gets some of its nutrients through photosynthesis like a regular plant, but it also relies on a host plant, usually a tree, for water and minerals. Shenzhen, China has seen one of the most remarkable urban transformations in history. In 1980, it was a small town of about 30,000 people. In 2023, its population had exploded to nearly 20 million. This incredible growth makes it a strong contender for the fastest-growing city in human history. California is the largest producer of almonds in the world. It produces about 80% of the global supply and is responsible for 100% of the commercial almond production in the United States. However, almond growing requires significant water, placing a strain on California's water resources, especially during droughts. Red meat changes color when it's heated up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius. The iron atom in myoglobin loses an electron and forms a molecule called hemochrome. It has a brownish color. This is why meat starts to turn brown as it cooks. Reindeer milk has substantially more fat than cow milk, with a fat content of around 20% compared to approximately 4% in cow's milk. This reflects the unique environmental adaptations of these Arctic animals. Frederick Banting played a major role in the discovery of insulin and was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1923. Unlike most antelopes that roam in herds, dik-diks form lifelong monogamous pairs. Once they find their mate, they stay together forever. You've probably heard that a royal flush is the best hand in poker, and it's also one of the rarest. The chances of getting one are only about 1 in 650,000. A straight flush is a bit more common but still rare, at about 1 in 72,000. Orangutan babies have the longest childhoods of all the great apes. They stay with their mothers nursing for up to 8 years. Think about all those escalators constantly moving in the London Underground. Their combined weekly distance is so great that it's equal to 2 trips around the Earth. Aconcagua is a true giant of the Andes. With a summit that reaches 22,837 feet or 6,960.8 meters, it holds the impressive distinction of being the highest peak in the Western Hemisphere and the highest mountain on Earth outside of the Asian continent. It's common to feel thirsty on flights because the cabin air has very low humidity, often between 10 and 15%. This is much lower than the typical humidity levels we experience on the ground, usually between 30 and 60%. The Pacific Ocean got its name in the 16th century by explorer Ferdinand Magellan. Magellan's small fleet entered an unfamiliar ocean in November 1520. He called this ocean body Pacific due to the relatively calm conditions they encountered at that point in their journey. The primordial pouch in cats is a loose flap of skin and fur located on their belly, just in front of their hind legs. It's a completely normal anatomical feature that all cats, even big cats, have, although it varies in size and prominence. That extra layer of skin and fur may help protect vital organs during fights or rough play, Also, it may allow for greater flexibility and range of motion during running, jumping, and twisting. The roughness of a cat's tongue is due to the presence of filiform papillae. These papillae are small backward-facing spines made of keratin, the same material that makes up human fingernails. Filiform papillae are found in all members of the cat family, from domestic cats to tigers. The word squirrel comes from the Greek shadow tail, describing its bushy tail. Like humans, dogs are born with fewer teeth. Puppies have a set of 28 deciduous baby teeth, which are later replaced by a set of 42 permanent adult teeth. Newborn deer fawns have a very weak scent, a crucial adaptation that helps them survive by making them harder for predators to find. Their mothers also help by cleaning them immediately after birth to minimize their odor. The University of California, Berkeley estimated that approximately 2.5 billion Tyrannosaurus rex existed across more than 127,000 generations. They reached this estimate by taking into account the dinosaur's body size, sexual maturity, and energy needs. Whales, how do they sleep? Do they even sleep? Yes, but only half of their brains at a time. This is called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, and it lets them rest while still being alert enough to breathe and be on the lookout for danger. If you're a baby cotton-top tamarin, chances are you're never alone. These tiny monkeys are famous for having twins much more often than single births. And the family doesn't stop at just the parents. Cotton-top tamarin babies are raised cooperatively by the entire group, with everyone pitching in to help care for the little ones. Despite their name, French poodles actually originated in Germany. These elegant dogs were originally bred as water retrievers in Germany, but they became incredibly popular in France. The funny thing is that the French call them caniche. One of the reasons many cats have white bellies has to do with the way their coat-colored genes are expressed. The cells that produce pigment migrate outwards from the spine. A process is called neural crest cell migration, and the belly is often the last area they reach, resulting in white fur. Rabbits and hares are particularly susceptible to tularemia, which is why it's commonly known as rabbit fever. It's caused by the bacterium Francisella tularensis. Tularemia is highly infectious and can be transmitted to humans. Imagine all life on Earth weighed together. Bacteria would account for a hefty 13% of that weight, while all of humanity would barely tip the scales at 1/10,000th. Earth has been home to life for approximately more than 80% of its existence, supported by the available data on fossil evidence. Your eye muscles are some of the busiest muscles in your whole body. On an average day, they move around 100,000 times. Here's a weird but true fact: your kidneys can smell your pee, kind of. There's a group of cells in your kidneys called the macula densa that controls how much urine you make. These cells don't literally sniff like your nose, but they do have receptors similar to the ones that detect smells. Instead of sniffing the air, they smell the chemical makeup of the fluid in your kidneys. It's like a built-in quality control system that checks what's passing through and adjusts things as needed. Cats have amazing night vision, and a big part of that is how much their pupils can change size. A cat's pupil can change by a factor of 135 to let in more light, while a human's can only change by a factor of 15. Kangaroos continue to grow even after reaching adulthood. These animals have continuous growth throughout their life, though the rate of growth slows down significantly. The bearded vulture is truly unique in the animal kingdom. It's the only known bird whose diet consists primarily of bone, typically 85 to 90% bone marrow. Unlike other scavengers, it usually disdains the meat and focuses on this incredibly nutritious food source. Nearly 1 in 5 people who sign up for a gym membership as part of their New Year's resolution throw in the towel by February. Even more shocking, by the time summer rolls around, 4 out of 5 of those optimistic January gym goers have already called it quits. Jewel beetles have the remarkable ability to sense infrared radiation, allowing them to detect forest fires from dozens of miles away. Instead of fleeing from danger, they are actually drawn to the heat and smoke, as the charred landscape created by a fire provides the perfect environment for them to mate and lay their eggs. In Japan, there are some termite colonies that are entirely female. These remarkable termites have found a way to reproduce without males by cloning themselves. This also means they can reproduce much faster. Supernovae are rare events in any single galaxy. occurring about once every 100 years. However, with an estimated 170 billion galaxies in the observable universe, there's likely a supernova explosion happening somewhere every second or two. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall is the largest known structure in the observable universe. It's estimated to be about 10 billion light-years in length. Put that in perspective, the observable universe is about 93 billion light-years in diameter. Switching from bottles to blister packs for Tylenol packaging led to a significant 43% decrease in suicide deaths related to the drug. Blister packs make it more difficult to quickly consume a large number of pills, as each pill must be individually removed. This design change also reduces the risk of accidental poisoning in children, who may be tempted to swallow multiple pills at once from a bottle. It takes 37 gallons or 140 liters of water to make a single toilet roll. Catnip is a member of the mint family, or the Lamiaceae. It has the very appropriate scientific name Nepeta cataria. The chemical that triggers the interesting effect in cats is called nepentolactone. Catnip exerts its effects by stimulating the TRPA1 channel in the cell membrane. We have the channel in our cell membranes too, but catnip doesn't have the same effect on us. It's likely due to differences in how our brains process the signals from the TRPA1 channels and differences in other receptors and neural pathways. You might think fire departments spend most of their time putting out fires, but that's not the case anymore. According to recent data, only about 4% of their calls are actually fire-related. Turns out it's not that you've forgotten your wild night out or blocked out bad memories, it's just that your brain never even hit record in the first place. Alcohol can disrupt receptors in the hippocampus, which is responsible for forming memories. The Malabar giant squirrel native to India holds the title of world's largest squirrel. Reaching roughly twice the size of an American gray squirrel, this impressive creature is further distinguished by its vibrant red, orange, and purple coat. Believe it or not, everything we can see in space, all the stars, planets, and galaxies, is only 5% of what's out there. The other 95% is invisible stuff called dark energy and dark matter. We can't see it, but we know it's there. On average, it takes 30 to 45 minutes for your eye rods to fully adapt to the nighttime darkness. Certain types of video game music, especially those designed to be atmospheric and non-intrusive, can be helpful for focus. Look for soundtracks with repetitive melodies, simple harmonies, and no vocals. Flamingos, like other birds, walk on their toes, and the joint that looks like a backward bending knee is actually their ankle. Earth is the densest planet in the solar system. Stars are a common symbol on national flags, appearing on the flags of roughly 60 countries around the world. The right kidney is typically slightly smaller and positioned lower than the left kidney. The presence of the liver, the body's largest internal organ, above the right kidney is the primary reason for this anatomical difference. Your intestines have the ability to reshape themselves after surgery, thanks to the smooth muscle in their walls, which allows them to move and return to their normal position.
The vulturine guinea fowl is found only in Africa and is considered one of the oldest lineages among the order Galliformes that include birds like chickens, turkeys, and pheasants. Substances found in Gila monster venom were discovered to have potential for treating type 2 diabetes, a finding that spurred research and led to the development of a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonists. These medications are also known to impact appetite and help with weight loss. A later study in 2012, for example, highlighted their ability to reduce cravings. Prominent drugs in this class today include semaglutide, widely known by the brand name Ozempic. Funny part is that the Gila monster itself only needs to eat a few times a year. They're able to survive on just 3 or 4 large meals, mainly eaten in the springtime. And now a dive to the ocean. Salps are transparent, gelatinous sea creatures that usually measure just a few inches. Individually, they might not seem like much, but when trillions of them gather in massive oceanic swarms, their impact is considerable. This is partly because salps can grow astonishingly fast, increasing their body length by up to 10% every hour. We've all heard of the drug thalidomide. What's fascinating is that it comes in 2 mirror image forms. known as R and S isomers. It was originally sold as a racemic mixture containing a mix of both. Tragically, while the R form had the intended calming effect, it was the S form that caused terrible birth defects like limb malformations by disrupting the baby's blood vessel development and growth. Heartbreakingly, at the time of its widespread use in the late 1950s and early 1960s, the pharmaceutical industry and regulatory bodies did not fully understand the critical differences in biological activity between drug enantiomers. The Iberian Reconquista, a lengthy period of conflicts between Christian and Muslim forces on the Iberian Peninsula, lasted an impressive 781 years, from 711 to 1492 AD. It's often cited as one of the longest periods of warlike struggle in history. Carob comes from the carob tree, or Ceratonia siliqua, is often used as a chocolate replacement, and while it's widely grown in places like Portugal, which is a major producer, the plant originated in the Mediterranean and Middle East. Carob also has industrial importance because its seeds are used to create locust bean gum, or E410, a common food thickener. Humpback whales have golf ball-sized bumps called tubercles along their heads. These golf ball-sized bumps on their heads and fins are hair-filled follicles, each typically housing a single stiff hair. These biological sensors may help them feel their surroundings, much like a cat's whiskers, and also reduces drag. They are also famous for the complex songs they sing, which can last for about 20 minutes at a time. These elaborate vocalizations are used for communication and are believed to be particularly important for males during mating season. Some whales even pick up new song phrases from neighboring groups, creating what are essentially regional dialects, a fascinating demonstration of animal culture found outside of primates. The common genet, or Genetta genetta, is a small viverrid indigenous to Africa that was introduced to southwestern Europe, like Portugal, Spain, and parts of France. Some think the Moors might have brought genets as pets, which then settled in the peninsula, adding to the natural spread from Africa. Bangkok topped the world's most visited cities in 2024, welcoming a record 32.4 million international visitors and securing its place as the globe's favorite destination for several consecutive years. This surge reflects Thailand's traveler-friendly visa policies and Bangkok's irresistible blend of culture, cuisine, and modern life. A 2019 global survey found that more than half of people aged 15 and older, 55%, can't swim on their own. Feeding the hungry is key in Sikhism, and the Golden Temple in India feeds around 100,000 people daily for free. People of all religions, races, and castes are welcome. Lamas wield spit like diplomats wield words, a messy but effective way to negotiate rank. While often framed as comical, this behavior is a calculated display of dominance, ensuring order without serious injury. The origin of the word arena lies in the ancient Roman amphitheaters. The central performance area in these venues was covered with harina, aka sand, to absorb blood during gladiatorial contests and other spectacles. Over time, the word arena came to refer to the sandy area itself, and eventually the entire enclosed space used for performances or contests. This is how the English word arena got its meaning, directly from the Latin word for sand. Cows are among the most diverse domesticated animals, with more than 1,000 recognized breeds worldwide. Cows navigate the world through scent with near supernatural precision. Their highly tuned noses can catch whiffs of water or danger miles away, while also acting as a social ledger, identifying herd mates and even sensing stress within the group. For farmers, this means even subtle changes in smell, like new equipment or feed, can unsettle these perceptive grazers. Bonus fact, cattle use Fleeman response, curling back the lip, to trap scents on their vomeronasal organ, a trick shared with horses and cats. Natural diamonds actually originate really deep inside the earth, more than 200 kilometers down in the mantle. The only way they make it up to the surface for us to find is through unique, powerful volcanic eruptions that come from those extreme depths. These dazzling stones are really old. The average natural diamond is roughly 1.5 billion years old. The triangular mouth of a river is called a delta because way back in ancient Greece, scholars thought the shape of the Nile River's delta looked just like their letter delta. While many people might assume the Amazon has the biggest delta because of its sheer size, it doesn't form a traditional delta at all. The largest in the world is the massive one formed by the Ganges and Brahmaputra rivers. This huge delta spans over 105,000 square kilometers and supports a population exceeding 145 million people. In ancient Greece, specifically in Athens, they had a unique way to deal with unpopular or potentially threatening figures. A vote could be held to banish them temporarily without a trial. Citizens cast these votes by writing the person's name on broken pieces of pottery known as ostraca. This fascinating historical practice is actually where the English word ostracize comes from, also the same origin in other languages. Lucky bamboo is not real bamboo. While it looks a little like true bamboo, it's not related to the panda food. Its scientific name is Dracana sanderiana, and it's more closely related to dragon trees. Like real bamboo, it's super easy to grow, but unlike real bamboo, it's not going to invade your entire garden. Eating eel is common around the world, but whether it's freshwater or marine eel, the animal is always served cooked because toxins found in its blood can cause extreme muscle cramping if consumed by humans. It contains ichthyotoxins like hemolysin proteins, which are neutralized at temperatures above 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Funnily enough, the name orchid originates from the ancient Greek word for testicle, or orchis, a name given because the tubers of some species resemble that shape. Believe it or not, before the 1800s, most shoes weren't made specifically for either your left or right foot. They were identical. It wasn't until later that shoemakers started creating designs shaped for each individual foot. You essentially have a second brain located in your gut. This extensive network, called the enteric nervous system, boasts over 100 million neurons and can control digestion independently. What's more, it produces around 90% of your body's serotonin and appears to play a role in influencing your emotions. Dung beetles have an incredible sense of direction, always moving in a straight line, even when the night is dark and moonless. They achieve this remarkable feat by navigating using the starry band of the Milky Way galaxy. Tristan da Cunha holds the title of the world's most remote inhabited island, sitting roughly 2,100 kilometers from its nearest neighbor, St. Helena. There is no airport on Tristan da Cunha. The only way to reach it is by boat. The ginkgo is a botanical time traveler. Its lineage stretches back 270 million years, surviving mass extinctions that wiped out even the dinosaurs. Today, these fan-leaved relics tower over urban streets, their genetic solitude a testament to life's stubborn will to endure. Bonus fact, ginkgo seeds smell like rancid butter due to butyric acid, a quirk that led cities to plant mostly male trees. Telstar 1, no larger than a beach ball, shattered the delays of distance on July 10, 1962, beaming the first live TV images across the Atlantic. Where newsreels once took days to fly overseas, this satellite compressed time to seconds, ushering in an era where the world could watch history unfold together. The Hoover Dam stands as a testament to human ambition. Building a structure as large as the Hoover Dam requires massive amounts of construction materials. The dam reaches 726 feet tall, a whopping 171 feet taller than the Washington Monument, and the dam's base is as thick as 2 football fields are long. Reaching those dimensions required engineers and builders to use a substantial amount of concrete, so much that the sheer volume is 4.5 million cubic yards or 3.8 million cubic meters. Dreams may mirror the technology of our youth. While just 12% of people today recall black and white dreams, the figure spikes among older generations raised on monochrome TV. Whether a quirk of memory or a rewiring of the brain's visual palette, this trend hints at how deeply media shapes even our subconscious. The red-crowned crane, or Grus japonensis, is considered the national bird of China and is also classified as vulnerable by the IUCN. So while culturally significant, its populations are facing threats. Cats have a surprising range of facial expressions. A study spotted up to 276 combinations of movements, though humans still win with our estimated 10,000. But many cat facial expressions are subtle and quick, which might be why we don't always notice the full extent of their communication. Tigers and your house cat share a surprisingly high amount of DNA, around 95.6%. Scientists have cataloged over 14,000 mushroom types, likely just the tip of the iceberg, with about 2,200 known as edible. And guess what? We mostly eat just one kind, the Agaricus bisporus, known as the button mushroom, cremini, white mushrooms, common mushrooms, champignon de Paris, or portobello. Yup, all the same, but in different stages of its maturity. Hot and cold water actually sound different when you pour them. Cold water is thicker because its molecules move slowly and stick together, making a deeper sound. Hot water is thinner since its molecules are more energetic and don't bond as much, so it pours with a higher pitch. Orchids are bizarre, and at the same time beautiful plants, and there are a lot of them. With more than 25,000 varieties, they make up around 10% of the world's plant species, and many of them have their own set of tricks. When it's time to spread pollen, a number turn to mimicry to lure in beneficial insects. Some even release pheromones that smell like female insects. If you multiply these two numbers, you get that big number, a palindrome number that reads the same forwards or backwards. Measles doesn't just sicken, it rewinds your immune system. By obliterating the cells that remember past infections, the virus leaves survivors vulnerable to diseases they'd already conquered. This immune amnesia explains why measles outbreaks double childhood mortality long after the rash fades, a hidden toll beyond the immediate illness. Spaceflight's cruel arithmetic was laid bare in 1903. Tsiolkovsky's equation revealed that 96% of a rocket's mass is merely the price to reach orbit, leaving a meager 4% for satellites or astronauts. Over a century later, despite gleaming tech, this tyranny of the rocket equation remains the law. Every gram fought for, every drop of fuel precious. 58% of trees in the world are found in only one country, Brazil, that's right, with an incredible 8,800 endemic tree species within its borders. Oysters defy rigid biology. Species like the European flat or Pacific oyster fluently switch sexes, sometimes repeatedly, to adapt to their environment. While younger oysters tend to be male, older populations skew female, ensuring reproductive flexibility. Scientists still puzzle over the exact cues, but for oysters, gender is more strategy than destiny. A bite is 8 bits, and 4 bits are known as a nibble. Some birds can eat super spicy chili peppers without any issues, which actually helps the chili plants spread their seeds. This relationship is a good example of co-evolution, where the chili plants evolved to attract birds that are good seed dispersers and deter mammals who might destroy the seeds. Pringles get their unique crunch and stackable design from their saddle-shaped form, known in math as a hyperbolic paraboloid. This clever shape keeps the chips strong and lets them nest perfectly in their iconic tube, so you get more whole chips and fewer crumbs. Penguins have specialized glands called supraorbital glands, located just above their eyes, which filter excess salt from their bloodstream. This adaptation allows them to drink seawater without harm. You might spot a penguin sneezing. It's actually expelling salty fluid filtered by these amazing glands. Not all seabirds have salt glands, but those that spend long periods at sea away from freshwater sources often do. You could actually fit all the other planets in our solar system comfortably inside the gas giant Jupiter. On average, a baby is born in the United States every 9 seconds, which is approximately the amount of time it took you to read this sentence. A rabbit's teeth never stop growing, so munching on fibrous plants is essential to keep them naturally trimmed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more brain-boosting content. Think you're smart? Head over to the community tab and try the daily quiz. See how you stack up and maybe even challenge your friends while you're at it. Let's see who's really got the brains.